Hello everyone, George here, and we're back in my implementation of Five Nights at Freddy's inside of Unity, doing all kinds of interesting things. In the last episode, we had gone ahead and added some controls to our Vive controller so that we could move around in these different areas, which pretty much made it so that we could test all of our OpenVR capabilities inside of our game. Now, I'm gonna need to do a few things. All I did in the last video was put this plane down, and that was acting as my ground plane so I could move around. However, that's really not something I want to work with. I want to start working with colliders on all these different objects, so I'm gonna need to make some colliders, and that means we gotta jump back over into Maya. Now, while we're in Maya, I should probably also do a few other things, such as just update some of the models, make things look a bit nicer. And I'm kind of going to go in my own direction a little bit here. I really would like things to look better. I think the game is starting in my head to evolve a little bit past just these different areas, and might be something where you actually get to move around and see different places. And therefore, the layout of this entire game is actually quite small. You don't have very far to go before, you're basically in the entire thing. I mean, there's not much distance between the cameras here and some other place, so maybe we'll need to deal with that at some point. But anyway, moving on, let's start making stuff happen. So we need colliders on things. So simple things like these boxes here don't really matter at the moment. They're going to get their colliders, so who cares? Let us Control H that whole thing, get rid of it. Now these are the posters that are going to have to be put up, as well as the pieces of paper, and they're going to need to be textured and everything else. Then there's the audio-video equipment there, and there. And of course, here are the desk tables. Let's take a look at them really quick and see where their pivots are. So the pivot's somewhere over there in the center, and they come out like that. That looks fine to me. Although I'm not particularly happy about the model itself. It's really not much of a handle. So why don't we do something about that really quick. Pull that out maybe a little bit, and then G that down. And now we've got something to at least grip on. That's a little bit better. I like that. Okay, so why don't we also, though, give this maybe a bit of a bevel going around these ends right here, I think. That's probably all going, that's going to be the only thing you really see. Maybe, yeah, just do one. Let's also do the same thing along these edges here, here, and here, and give that a nice bevel as well. Give it maybe a 2-segment bevel right there. That works just fine for me. We're going to want to copy this drawer and paste it for the one above. So let's do something that's uniform. A point on this object that both ones have is going to be on the back side. So go to Shading, X-Ray, and let's go WDV to the bottom of that one. And let's duplicate it and put it up there, and come on back and find the other one and nuke that one, and go to Shading, X-Ray, and we're good. I'm also going to go back to shading and do wireframe on shaded so I can see what's actually happening here. Okay, so this is the desk. The desk has stuff going on both sides. That's fine. We might as well go ahead and put some bevels in here just to make things look a little bit nicer. I mean, we don't have many polys going on at the moment, so we might as well start using some of them. So there we go, there we go. That's probably going to be a good spot to put a bevel. That's a good spot. The top is not actually part of it. It's a separate thing. So I don't need to really worry about that. We should probably do the bevels on these sides though. Why is that not auto-selecting? Is it auto-selecting above it or not? I cannot see the actual line. It looks like there is something funny going on. Okay, so let's grab the verts, right-click, merge verts, see if that fixes anything, save it, right-click again, go to face mode on this object, there we are, and just try to take a look around, get a sense of if anything's wrong, specifically if there are any sort of extraneous faces. A lot of times they're going to show up on the edges themselves, and that gives you a good clue that something's wrong. Now hold on, let me hit the W key. Yeah, so if I double-click here, what am I getting? I'm getting you, and if I double click, I do get everything, right? Just make sure. I don't know why I'm having a hard time seeing it. It's like it's not turning orange. Maybe I'm going blind. Anyway, double click both of them, that's good. You are coming for the ride as well, and that should be good enough for the front part of this. Let's go ahead and bevel that. Let's give that, where's my bevel tool? There we go. I think I need to clean my glasses. That's probably why I can't see anything. And go up here, grab these edges here and here, and right-click, bevel them, and add another segment, and I'm going to reduce that fraction down so it's really tight. There we go. Save that real quick. And yeah, that's not so bad. Now, what does this actually look like? I can't remember. So let's go to FNAF. So FNAF and images. FNAF 1, and we just want the main room you're in. Here we go. So there's not a whole lot it looks like to go on. It's just sort of a gray desk with noise put on it. So why don't we do something more interesting with it than that? Oh, I forgot to add bevels to these ones as well. So let's grab both of them, add bevel, take a look over the other side. Let's see, how many segments is that? 1, 2, that's probably 2 segments. I want to make that just a tiny bit smaller right there. Okay, save. So that's our desk. Outliner, go to desk, security room, desk. Let's check out our UVs for this object. So go to the UV editor really fast. So UV editor. And inside of here, our UVs are a giant mess. So let's just make sure we have the whole object selected. I'm going to go to UVs and automatic, and that's going to break the UVs down for me right here. I'm going to go to shell mode, grab everything. I'm going to do an unfold first to see if that actually did anything of benefit. Doesn't really look like it, just looks like it rotated some of these guys, and rotating these is not something I want. Let's go to polygons now and layout. And under layout, I'm going to want to set this up. So packing resolution, I'm going to say I'm going to have a resolution of 1024 for this desk. Packing iterations, I'm going to set that up to 3 or 4. It depends upon how long you want to wait. I do not want them to overlap. Rotations don't matter. Rotations can happen, but I want them to be at 90-degree angles because these are square items. If they're not at 90-degree angles, like if they're at 45, you're going to get pixels. And when we paint these things that are not completely covered, and since we're compacting this so tightly, you're going to get these jaggies on the edges that you can't resolve. So it's better to work, in my case, with a non-organic object that's very boxy in increments of 90 when the original object is lined up along the X and Y axes. So translation's fine, rotation is fine. Let's see, shell distribution, that's fine. Packing region and scaling mode is I want uniform. I want every object to be uniformly scaled so that everyone gets the same number of texels when it's sampling. Let's go ahead and hit apply and give it a few moments to figure itself out. And there we go. So that is going to be the most compact way for us to work with this particular object. So let me see if I can't. Let's shade the UVs really quick. Shading also shows you if you've got anything wrong going on. So here you can see the top and the bottom. I mean, in a perfect world, or in any world really, the bottom's not going to matter so much, and the backside over here is not going to matter. So I could technically get rid of that if I wanted to, but it's fine. Now I'm just looking back here at the back of the desk, and it looks like it doesn't matter. All right, so let's start doing all kinds of stuff. I'm just gonna start doing things. So I want to start making things look good. So why don't we go over to my library? I'm going to open up Substance Painter. This is something new I've been working with in the last few months for different projects, and I really love it. Once you kind of get your flow down for setting up UVs and getting everything out of here and getting them uniformly put together, go away GeForce experience. Substance Painter is an absolutely amazing application to get stuff done quick. And this means I need to start exporting different assets. So let's go to File, and I'm going to go to Export Selected. And actually, before I do that, let me just edit, delete by type, history, and File, Export Selection. Bring that over here. Let's go up a couple paths, and FBX exports. So that's the security room, but that's not what I'm going to be using this for anymore. Actually, let's go up a rung and create a new folder, and I'm just going to put that as SP for Substance Painter. I'm going to double click, do a new folder, and do FBX imports, and then I'm going to create another folder, and I'm just going to call that textures. So my FBX exports are going to go in here. I'm going to name this desk and hit export selection. So now the desk has been exported. So I can now come over to Substance Painter, go to File, Open, and this is my other project that I've been working on. A lot of substance painting stuff in that one. And let's see, speed, YouTube, reproduce it, 5 Nights at Freddy's, and SP, FBX exports, right click, refresh, and, oh, excuse me, File, New Project, select, and now we can go over to where we're working with. So speed, YouTube, reproduce it, FNAF, and SP, exports, whoops, exports, desk. We're going to be working with PBR. metallic roughness algorithm. I'm not going to be working with anything else. We're then going to export this out at the end as a Unity texture that will work well with it. So that's pretty much it. Creating text, blah, 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 blah. That's all good. Our resolution right now, I'm going to make it 2048. I don't plan on actually using it at that resolution in the game, but you might as well go a little bit higher. Okay, so here's our desk. The UVs are all set up. I'm going to go ahead and press the, let's see, what button was it? F2 button. So here are our UVs over here. Here's everything over there. First thing we need to do is, there's our material, which I screwed up already. So let's go to the desk, right click, go to new material. Bring it on over here, go to Fong, and where the heck is the menu for that? There it is. And instead of Fong, I'm going to call this desk_M, enter, and I don't want any color settings on this. Now I'm going to go back to my desk. I should also not just export the desk out by itself, but really I should be exporting all these items together because I'm going to want some of the ambient occlusion of it possibly coming in. But you know what? Wait, what is this piece right here? Is that like some other box thing? I don't, oh, that's a spider web. That's right. Anyway, so I should be bringing the drawers in as well. So I've got desk drawer underscore lower shape. Let's go to your real name, sir. Desk drawer underscore lower one and lower. So then upper. Right there. So upper, enter, save. And is the desk itself... So there's desk drawer lower, upper, and then there's that. So let's grab all three of these, group them together. I'm going to call this desk, and I'm actually going to call this thing, not the desk, but the body of the desk, or desk underscore body. Whatever naming convention works for you. All right, now we should be ready to go. Check on these things. This is desk. I'm going to do desk. That's fine. Let's just keep it that way. File. Now we'll go to file. Oh, these need... You know what? We might as well texture all these together in the same material. So I'm going to grab all three, right click, assign existing material, and we're going to go to desk_M. And I also need to unwrap these ones. We'll unwrap one of them and export the UVs to the other one since they have the exact same geometry and vertex ordering. So UV editor, and yeah, that's a mess. So let's go to UV and just automatic for this. There we are. Now we are seeing some crap going on here, especially this like big open area right here when we went down from the projection onto the desk. So I'm going to grab probably a large section of this stuff and break it up so it's a little bit easier to work with. Now I'm going to break it up on the back side first because that's the side you're not going to see. I can tell it's the back side because it doesn't have the bevel, excuse me. So we're just going to grab that, create a UV shell. So that's now a separate entity. We're going to go over here. I'm just going to grab faces, you guys right here. And I'm going to do the same thing, create UV shell. So those are now separate. So those will be able to fold up a lot more nicely. Go to shell mode. Let's go to polygons, and I'm going to go to layout. And there we go. It's optimized using a lot more of the UV space than before, so we can go ahead and work with it. And now I can grab that piece of desk, and actually I want to keep this open and put it off slightly to the side. The reason for that is because when I transfer the UVs, I want to make sure I'm doing it properly. So I grab the one I want to, that is the one set up with UVs. I grab the one with the crap. So you and you, and then I'm going to go to mesh, and we want to do transfer attributes, and I'm going to transfer my UVs based on, let's see, I can probably do that based upon the topology. Mirroring doesn't need to happen. UV sets current vertex position is all off. Okay, hit apply, and you'll notice that both sets now agree on their setup. The problem, though, is if I want these to be unique in some way. So I need to grab all of these. I want them to use one texture. So we're going to grab everyone and go back to the UV editor, right click, shell mode, grab everything, go to polygons, and let's do layout again. And now this layout will include everything uniformly scaled properly so that we don't need to worry about anything. Now, they do get a little bit close to each other. So let me go back to the layout. I mean, they're right on top of each other. So I'm assuming that I think I'm going to do some padding here. I'm going to do a padding maybe of like, I don't know, 4 pixels, something like that. Let's apply that and see what happens. So F8, right click shell, grab the whole damn thing, hit apply. And I just want a little space between each of these because in case, let's see, did that help out at all? Yeah, so now I've got a tiny, tiny bit of space between each of these elements, and I don't need to worry so much about bleeding happening in the texture when I bring it over into Substance Painter. Okay, so we've got everything set up now. Let's grab our group for the desk. Sorry about kind of going back and forth here, but sometimes that happens. Let's export the selection and bring it back over, put in the desk, hit yes. Now, sometimes in Substance Painter, you can just go to Edit and Project Configuration and change the mesh right here. Although I believe because I'm using different materials and stuff, it's all a mess. So let's go to File, New, discard this one, select the same desk. We're going to go 2048 again, hit OK. And now we've got our desk in here and all the UVs over there. Let us bake our textures. I've got no normal map to really work with at the moment, but I want to get all these other ones down because the materials that are used inside of Substance Painter rely on things like the ambient occlusion and curvature to determine how they should be viewed on the screen or generated. So let's go ahead and bake all of our textures right now. Okay, so now we have everything baked, which means that we have an ambient occlusion map, we've got curvature maps, and a bunch of other things, and it's kind of up to us to figure out how we want this thing to look. Now, I did make a little bit of I can't tell if that's ambient occlusion or that's because of the normals. Might be because the normals are messed up. But anyway, we've got that thing started off. So what do we want this thing to look like? So let's go over to our materials, and here are some of the ones that I have. Now, I do have a subscription to Substance Painter beyond just having I bought the Steam version, but for some projects I also needed the other software, so I happen to also have a subscription, and I've done this for a few months now, so I've got quite a few materials that I can log in and actually download from the Substance Source website, which is actually really nice. So I'm going to log in off screen, so let's see. All right, so here we are. So they've got a lot of wonderful different materials that we can work with. And maybe we want to go with something, I don't know. There's a lot of different kinds of wood we can go with, but this is it's not a wooden desk, so it's probably not the right material to work with. So perhaps we want to take a look at other things like maybe painted. Now, none of these are all more walls than anything else. I'm thinking more of a plastic. So let's see, there's plastic or rubber right here. Looks like they got a lot of new ones coming down. So there's a rubber. That's kind of nice. That's that old style sequined polyurethane. That's interesting. We've got some glossy materials, glossy polyurethane, but that's not going to work for our desk either, really, is it? Plasticky grains. Nothing that I'm in particularly love with. Let's just look at paint again, and yeah, nothing there. Now, nothing that I particularly like. Let's just take a look at my standard list of materials and see if there's something here that I could enjoy. I mean, we can always just go for a plastic kind of glossy feel to it and maybe put some dirt and some stuff on top of it to make it look a little bit more interesting. Since it is kind of an older setting, I guess, or I don't know if it's old, but I'm guessing it's a little bit more dingy. So we could just take maybe our plastic gloss, throw that on as a layer real quick, and you can see the reflections that it's getting right there. So the roughness needs to be pulled up quite a bit. So I'm going to pull roughness up to maybe like 0.6. That's still pretty glossy, so I'm probably going to go all the way up to 0.7 on that one. And we're also going to need to change the color. So let's go to color, and I'm going to go to more dark shade, maybe somewhere down around there. Let's just start throwing some stuff together. So the drawers themselves are going to be different. So the handles are going to need something else. So let's go to some sort of maybe a metal. So we have metal wire, a steel battered. Let's take a look at that really quick. So that's kind of cool for the handle. We'll go with that. It might be a little bit too much, obviously, but we can give it a go. I'm going to change the scaling up to 3. Oof, that's a bit harsh. Let's see what happens with 6. Wow, that really is battered, isn't it? Okay. Channel mapping and properties. Let's open these up and let's see. So I would rather add more dirt and maybe reduce the bumps a bit because the bumps are pretty severe. And the roughness I'm going to crank up a little bit so it's not too shiny. The rust I will also crank up as well. See if, yeah, that's what I want. And now we need to restrict this only to these parts. So let's right click and go to add a black mask. So everything is removed, and I'm just going to kind of come at, actually, if I find out where this is on the, over here, it'll probably be even easier for me to work. So where is it? So it looks like it's, so it was those two pieces there, And then it's going to be, screw it. We'll just be very careful in how we select things. How about that? And grab these ones right there. And grab you. Come back around the other side. Make sure they're all selected there. And do a very careful selection right there. Okay. So it looks like it was all of these ones over there. So now I got our shiny handles. That's great. Go back over here. Let's also add some dirt, debris, greasy stuff. I don't know. Something that looks crappy. So let's see. Rusted dark metal. Then we have a rust. We have a rust, which might be nice. But we also probably would want some sort of a dirt. So let's grab the rust and throw this on here first and see if I can't. So the rust color, I'm going to make more brown. Yeah, much more brown. And yeah, very brown. Now we're going to put a mask on that, and we're going to use one of the generators. And the generators, I only have the basic ones. I'm going to use the one for dirt, which is going to use, I believe it's ambient occlusion as well as the curvature to really put a lot of grit and grime around the edges and the seams. Now I do have a little bit of an issue right there. As you can see, that little tiny thing. This edge seems to be sharing some space with one of these guys over here. It's also adding some artifact right along there. Oh, crap. It's the, isn't it the, look at that. Yeah, you can see it coming through right there. The normal stuff is coming through, if I remember correctly. So let's go to normal, and I'm just going to do normal on that, and height map, and normal on that. Let's see, are you still coming through on this stupid thing? Do I still have... I still got junk coming through. So let's go back to here. I hate it because I always mess something up. So that got rid of all of that stuff, right? The only thing left is this little bit here. Okay, so now we should be able to go back into our rust, bring that back. And that's a bit heavy. But it's all right, I suppose. We might want to add our own touches to this. So we might want to go into the particles or the brushes and begin adding some wear and tear to it. So we got some good dirt brushes here. We've also got these. That's kind of interesting. So I'm going to take this layer and duplicate it, actually. Hit Control and D. And instead of rust, I'm just going to say grunge. Now this one, I'm not going to use a generator on. I'm going to remove the generator. Or actually, let's try a different generator. So let's do the corners. So that's the generator for just the corners. And we can see how much more that adds to it. It's a little probably over the top though. Yeah, a little bit. So let's reduce the overall wear level. And let's see, the contrast. What do we want? I kind of like it lower contrast. I'm going to use triplanar, which means that it evaluates how the material should react in three-dimensional space instead of the UV space. And grunge amount. What do we want for that? What looks good? A little lower maybe. Scale. Higher the scale is, the smaller it actually gets. Let's see. Edge smoothness. That's all fine. We don't need to mess with any of that stuff. So that's good. We'll go with it. Very heavy around the drawers. Probably a little bit too much. We can, of course, right-click on this, go to, let's see, add paint, and then start painting our own stuff on here. So if we wanted to go to one of these textures here that we were looking at before, maybe this one here, and and just kind of begin to get rid of a little bit of what's actually going on in here. Hold on a second. Who's causing that? Is it you or you? It's you. So I need to grab you and right click and add a paint layer to you and then kind of reduce it just a little bit here and there so it's not quite so bad on the drawers. And we could also have some fun. You could write some stuff on the underside of this now. I don't know what we'll write on the underside. Let's see. Let's go to an alpha and let's pick, I don't know, swirly paintbrush maybe. Make sure it's really small. I'm using hotkeys with the mouse to actually do some of this stuff. And we're going to want a new layer. That layer is going to be a material type. So I'm going to go to materials. And I want it to show up. So I'm actually going to pick a plastic layer. And this plastic layer is going to be rough, pretty rough, but not as rough as the desk. And not that that matters. So let's go now to add a black mask to it. And I'm going to color white onto the areas that I want to keep. And I'm also going to need to change the color of this because I don't want blue. I'll probably pick something else like, you know, like a nice red, somewhere like that. And then now we could paint our message to the player. I'm trying to think, if you're in the Vive and you're looking under the desk, how you're going to see things. And let's hit, let's see, let's go to what is it? F2 for a full view of what's going on. And what am I? There we are. I need to be on the mask. What do we want to know? How about watch the fox? Something like that. Now we can flip it, go to a darker color, maybe something along those lines, go back to some of our grunge maps and break this whole thing up so it's not quite so visible. And actually, I'm going to go straight with black on this because I don't want to start bringing stuff in. I want to get rid of things. I want to make it hard to see. There we go. Okay, so if the user happens to duck under there, they are going to first see it. It's a little bit shinier. And actually, maybe I should embellish that a bit more. So lower the roughness a little bit further. You can see that you pick up that highlight just a little bit, which hopefully will beg the user to look under here and, you know, find out our little message right there. Okay. Now, I don't know what the drawers look like on the inside. That's actually probably an important thing, which is why I might end up bringing them in. Oh, wow, look how nasty those drawers look, actually. So that's something that I might want to clean up a little bit here and there. So let's take a look at some of these layers and see. I'm using a lot of UV projections. I'm going to go back to doing some tri-planers here and there, and that's going to clean up a lot of the algorithm along these harsh edges, so it's not just using the UVs to determine everything. And for right now, that's a fine desk. I would definitely like to come back in here, maybe inscribe something on the surface, like I was here or something. But I don't necessarily know if that's needed at the moment. I could add in the plastic glossy one, like right here, like get really, really tiny and just right, you know, like George was here. Oh, we need to make it white. Maybe just GDL for my name. Something like that. And then we're going to, of course, get rid of some of it. So go back to black mode, and I'm going to make my brush a little bit larger. I'm going to rotate it a little bit and just pop it right over top of it. Just get rid of a little bit of it so it's not quite so notable. Okay, what's going on here? That looks kind of like crap. So what is that? Who is in charge of that? Not you, not you. You. Okay. So did that happen because I switched to tri-planar? No, that's been there the whole time apparently, because it looks like junk. So I'm going to go to the paint layer on this and just paint back some of the rust so it doesn't look quite as bad. Ooh, that was. Let's fade it a little. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our desk set up. I think that's good enough. If we want to, we could also add scratches into the desk. It's up to you. I think this is good enough for right now. Let's go to right click. Let's do an export textures. There's our desk. I'm going to select our folder. So under, let's see, speed, YouTube, and reproduce it, FNAF, SP, textures. I'm going to create a new one called desk _M. Go inside of here, select the folder. Under config, I'm going to go to Unity 5 standard metallic setup. Dilation, I'm going to set to infinite, so that's going to extend the colors outwards on the border edges. Dilation is fine, that's all good. I shouldn't need to mess with anything else. I'm going to keep it at 2048 by 2048, although I'll probably end up using the 1024 version later. Let's hit export, and Substance Painter will do its magic. Hit the open folder just to make sure everything came out properly, and we have 3 maps. Now I'm not exporting the height map out I'm just not going to use it in this case. So if you want the height map, you'll have to turn on the height map by going into your configuration and actually pushing a height map out as well. Okay, so how long have we gone? So this is a 34-minute video, so let's take a break here and we'll dive back into doing some more of this stuff in the next video. Thanks for watching. Hope you found it interesting. I will see you later. So long, goodbye.